My name is Maura Tran and I'm a top shelf financial model analyst. Today we are going to be talking about debt service. So, what is debt service? Let's begin with the definition. Debt service is the amount of cash required to pay the interest expense and the principal on a loan during a specific period of time. And I really want to emphasize a specific period of time, and we'll come back to that later. So, if a company or an individual is taking out a loan, the company or individual needs to calculate their debt service on the loan, specifically the debt service ratio. And the debt service ratio determines if the borrower has the ability to pay back the loan. Likewise, the lender also calculates the debt service to ensure that the borrower will be able to pay back the loan and not default. So, one thing that we use to calculate debt service is the debt service coverage ratio, also known as a DSCR, and this is the measure of available cash flow to pay current debt commitments during a given period. This ratio can be used to analyze projects or finances. The DSCR measures the net operating income and compares it to the current debt obligations. In general, a good debt service coverage ratio is above a 1.0, and a 1.0 ratio means that the project makes just enough cash flow to cover the debt obligations exactly. Anything higher is an optimal debt service, and anything lower will throw up red flags for the lenders because if it's lower than a 1.0, it's telling the lenders that, hey, this individual or this company is not making enough cash flow and they will not be able to pay off the debt. So, lenders want to see that an individual or a company can pay back their loan easily. Typically, if a project is going through a construction or renovation period, the debt service on a monthly basis will be lower until the construction or renovation is complete. And the DSCR formula is as follows, and it's the NOI divided by the debt service, where the NOI, or the net operating income, is the sum of the revenues and expenses during a specified period, and the debt service is the interest plus the principal payment during the same period. So by using this formula, one can calculate the ability to pay back a loan. So next I am going to show you how we use the DSCR formula in our top shelf models. And right now I am in the multifamily development model, which you can buy from the top shelf model website, and we're going to go ahead and go to the model outputs tab. And the model outputs tab is just a cool little summary of the project. It gives you an annual cash flow, the unit mix, sources and uses, the waterfall assumptions. You've got a cool annual waterfall assumption here too that shows you the LP contributions and distributions, GP contributions and distributions, etc. So what we're going to be looking at is the annual cash flow summary here. And here at the bottom we have a DSCR formula. So I'm going to zoom in a bit so we can see it. And remember, the DSCR formula is the NOI divided by the debt service. And the debt service is the interest plus the principal payment during that period. So we're going to click on the DSCR and I'll show you how it works here. So it says cell M11, which is the NOI, and that checks out. And the NOI is just the EGI plus the operating expenses. So that's cool too. That's good. It has the NOI here, which is M11, divided by all of this stuff here. And so it's the annual cash flow tab, row 146, 147, 137, and 162. So let's go ahead and head over to the annual cash flow. And let's scroll down to the levered, or we can use these neat little buttons here, levered cash flow, boom, and it takes us down there. We don't have to waste any time scrolling. And here we said row 137, which is the interest expense every period. Boom, that checks out. And then we have row 146, which is the interest expense, and 147, which is the principal portion every single period. And then here in the mezz debt section, we included row 162, which is the current period interest. And we have the mezz turned off in the model right now. So otherwise it would be useful. Anyways, we're going to go back up to the construction. And you might be wondering why we include the interest expense, but we're not including this principal repayment. Or you might be wondering how in the senior we're including the interest expense and the principal portion, but not the principal repayment. And this is because the principal repayments are not a part of the scheduled monthly payments. So the scheduled monthly payments here in the senior are the principal portion that they're paying down the portion for and the interest expense. And those are the monthly expenses. Right now, the principal portion that they pay at the end is not a part of the monthly expenses. And so that's why we're not including them. So we'll go back to the assumptions tab here, the model outputs tab, and you can see how we have the interest expense and the principal portion payments. And then here you have the interest expense and the interest expense as well there for the mezz. And you can see that at the beginning of the project, and this is right after, so right now this is going to be negative because it is during construction and they're paying all that off. And it would show up as an error because you're dividing it by 0, so it's an if error formula. And then here you can see that the DSCR is increasing, and at the end of the project when they sell here in year 5, you can see that the DSCR is a 1.4, and that's good, and lenders want to see that because a 1.4 is above a 1, and it just means that they will be able to pay off the project. So that is how we use DSCR in our model, and you can go ahead and check out the Top Shelf model website here. And you can use a custom model builder, buy a model there, or find something that you might need for your real estate modeling needs. And you can also check out our blog, and we post, new blogs every week.